Once upon a time in a small, peaceful animal village, there lived a dog named Jack. Jack was not just any dog. He was a hardworking farmer. He owned the biggest farm in the village, growing all kinds of delicious crops and raising healthy animals for meat. But Jack had one problem. He was very stingy. He hated sharing anything he had, whether it was food, meat, or even a kind word. The other animals in the village admired Jack for his hard work. They saw him working under the hot sun, planting seeds and harvesting crops, but they also wished he would be kinder and share his food. The village had many animals who didn't have enough to eat, especially in the cold winters. The rabbits barely had enough carrots. The goats had little grass. And the chickens often went hungry because they couldn't find enough grain. But Jack didn't care. He kept everything for himself, locking his barn and his pantry with heavy chains. One day, a little sparrow named Pip flew to Jack's farm. Pip was a cheerful bird who loved to help others. She saw Jack sitting under a shady tree, eating a big piece of roasted meat. Pip landed on a branch nearby and chirped, "Good afternoon, Jack. That meat smells delicious. You must have worked very hard to get it." Jack looked up and wagged his tail. "Yes, I worked hard. This is my reward. No one helped me, so why should I share?" Pip tilted her head. "But wouldn't it feel nice to share with others? The chickens haven't eaten well in days and the rabbits are getting weaker. Just a little kindness can make the village happier." Jack snorted. "Kindness doesn't fill my belly. If they want food, they should work harder." Hearing this, Pip sighed and flew away. The other animals soon heard about Jack's selfish attitude. They stopped visiting his farm, even when they were hungry. They whispered among themselves, calling him Stingy Jack. Time passed and Jack's farm became even more successful. He grew piles of juicy vegetables, baskets of fresh fruits, and stored plenty of meat in his cold storage. But something strange happened. The more food Jack had, the lonelier he felt. His big house was quiet, his farm was empty of visitors, and his heart felt heavy. He would sometimes sit by his window, watching the other animals play and laugh together. Why do they look so happy, he wondered. They have so little, yet they smile. One day a terrible storm came to the village. The wind howled, rain poured, and lightning lit up the sky. Jack's barn filled with food was struck by a bolt of lightning. Flames erupted and soon the barn was on fire. Jack barked and howled for help, but no one came. The fire destroyed all his stored food, leaving him with nothing. The next morning the storm had passed, and Jack sat in front of his burned barn, his head hanging low. He was hungry and tired. For the first time, he felt the pain of having nothing. He thought about all the animals he had refused to help and wondered if they would treat him the same way. Just then, Pip the sparrow flew by. She saw Jack sitting sadly and landed beside him. "Jack, what happened?" she asked gently. "My barn burned down," Jack said, his voice trembling. "I have no food left. I don't know what to do." Pip looked at him for a moment and then said, "Wait here." She flew off and returned with the rabbits, goats, chickens, and other animals from the village. They came carrying carrots, grains, milk, and even some cooked meals. They placed the food in front of Jack, who looked at them with wide eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Jack asked. "I was never kind to you." One of the rabbits smiled and said, "We know what it feels like to be hungry, Jack. Even if you didn't share with us before, we can't watch you suffer." Jack's eyes filled with tears. He realized how wrong he had been. These animals who had so little were willing to share what they had with him, even after he had refused to help them. He felt a warmth in his heart that he hadn't felt before. From that day on, Jack changed. He worked even harder on his farm, but this time, he shared his crops and meat with everyone in the village. He opened his barn and pantry, inviting animals to take what they needed. The village became a happier place, and Jack's farm was always bustling with visitors. He no longer felt lonely because he had friends who cared about him. Jack learned that kindness and sharing bring more happiness than hoarding ever could. And the animals of the village no longer called him Stingy Jack. Instead, they called him Generous Jack, the dog who brought everyone together. And from that day on, the village thrived as a community where everyone looked out for each other and no one went hungry again. Thank you for watching and kindly subscribe to my channel for more content like this.